Hi everyone, it's Tim again, and now we're going to do calcium sulfide. But before we start, I hope that this video is going to work and that the sound quality is going to be usable. I actually have the microphone almost right inside of my mouth in order to do this, because it is a high compression microphone. But the other one is sounding a bit weird, so I'm going to give this one a try. Just for this video anyway. But let's talk about calcium sulfide for a moment. And one of the first things that you need to know is that there are two tissue salts, one called calcium sulfide, one called calcium sulfate. I don't care what company you buy it from, you're going to wind up with the same thing, and that is calcium sulfate. Nobody separates them. Same, almost identical indications and issues, so I'm going to lump them all together. So when I'm talking today, I'm talking about both calcium sulfide and calcium sulfate. So let's talk about their functions in the human body first. They work with the cartilage, the liver, bile, heavy metal cycling, skin, mucous membranes, and of course the muscles. What are the what is the telltale sign of a calcium sulfide / calcium sulfate deficiency? You're looking at it right here. These lines that start at the inside corner of the eyes, work their way outward, and then turn downward. This is a somewhat mild case. She's not old enough to have these. Let's look at another photo. And hopefully you can see these, but they actually extend all the way down the face. See, can I blow this up and not lose you? Oops. I don't know how much of this you can see, so I'm going to just boost this up a bit. I think we're in frame now using a desktop screen capture set at 1920 by 1080, and not sure. But you're seeing these same lines continue, and here you see them, they're coming down and they're continuing all the way down the cheeks. This is a severe calcium sulfide deficiency. We're also seeing crow's feet as well, red ears, so we know where there's magnesium, but we're not going to get into any of that. These are the signs of a calcium sulfide / calcium sulfate deficiency. But let's get into the indications, and we'll start with the vanity or beauty issues. With that, of course, there's going to be the lines under the eyes. There will be acne, some issues with acne. You're seeing a couple of small outbreaks here. Dull hair, maybe, not sure. Eczema, none visible, but it doesn't need to be visible. Very brittle fingernails that crack and break easily. Age spots, which I don't know if this is one here or not, or whether this is just a dark freckle. Split ends, I think the way her hair is all flyaway in little sections of it, I think if we zoomed in and got a very close look, we'd find some split ends there. Let's move over to behavioral issues, because there are lots of behavioral issues. The reason that there are lots of behavioral issues is because calcium sulfide / calcium sulfate is responsible for clearing heavy metals from the human body. So this list is going to be, it's not that long, but you'll notice that the symptomology, the possible symptomology or indications, are quite severe in comparison to some of them. We have compulsive behavior, an inclination for addiction. They will lack creativity. They may lack creativity. Remember, the person doesn't have to have every one of these. That's just not the way it works. 5 out of the entire list, whether we're talking about vanity or beauty issues, health issues, or behavioral issues, 5 of them would be enough to really start considering it. But let's move forward. They'd constantly be in a crisis-type mood, in that everything was dramatic. Everything is a crisis. Drama queens. Low self-esteem. Feelings of being oppressed. They feel as though everybody's against them. Will lack openness. Sensory processing issues on many fronts, whether it be sound, smell, taste, light sensitivity, or touch. Will lack will and strength, brain fog, will chronically feel lonely even when it's not reasonable for them to think that way. They will be shallow, superficial people. They can be these. Anxiety, depression, panic disorders. Calcium sulfide is responsible for clearing mercury, lead, and aluminum from the human body. So if those metals are building up, these behavioral symptoms are really, if you look at you go and you Google the symptoms or signs of a lead, mercury, or aluminum heavy metals toxicity, you'll find all of these listed. Moving on to the health issues. For health issues, we have heavy metals detoxification. That's its main purpose in the human body. You may see abscesses, bronchitis, boils, cystitis, very slow healing wounds, inflammation of the kidneys, weakness of the connective tissues, ovarian cysts, constipation, enlarged prostate in men, of course, cradle cap in babies, rheumatoid arthritis, chronic fatigue syndrome, tonsillitis, furnace mouth, and that may sound a bit like a funny disease, but there's nothing funny about it for those who suffer from a burning sensation in their a chronic burning sensation in their mouth. Nasal polyps, nasal crusts, kidney pain, ringworm, weak joints. The hands and feet, or maybe even the legs and arms, may feel like they've fallen asleep in pins and needles type sensation a lot. Blocked arteries and blood clot formation. That's one thing to not underestimate, especially if you're going to have surgery or have suffered some sort of great physical trauma, such as a car accident, or thrombosis is something that you really have to consider. That's the process in which blood clots are formed. Blood clots will form much easier when you are deficient in calcium sulfide or calcium sulfate. Calcium sulfide or calcium sulfate. Anyway, folks, this is the main symptom to look for. Look for these lines that are continuing. Hopefully you can see this. They're continuing right down the face. Some of them are all the way down to here. These ones, no, they're coming down to about here. These ones are down to here. Some are all the way down there. This is severe. This is less severe, but you can see that they start at the inside corner, they work outward, and then they start turning, and they turn downward. In all of these cases, this young lady is an exception. Not a lot of deep horizontal lines in the forehead, which typically will accompany it, accompany these deficiencies. You can see it. Hopefully, you can see it. Come down here. The deep, very puffy lines here. I know that this lady is packed full of heavy metals. Anyway, that's it for calcium sulfide and calcium sulfate. We'll be back and start on the extended tissue sulfide.